Hi, Adam. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am excited to talk to you about DOTTY Soul. I am
Oh,
so in love with this film. It is a sparkling gem. It's filled with heart and soul. It's fast paced, funny. It's got valuable life lessons. And Leslie Uggams is beyond fabulous, feisty, and funny. And you are just amazing.
so much. I'm so happy that you feel this way.
I haven't enjoyed a film this much from beginning to end in a while. Just a pure joy watching this film.
Oh, I'm so happy. I am deeply happy to hear this.
I looked at the cast originally when I got the first blast, and just outstanding. Plus, I already knew my friend Emmet Walsh was in the film. Curmudgeonly old Emmet. By the way, did he flash around any $2 bills when you were filming?
He sure did. Absolutely. Definitely did that.
Yep, that's his standard tip to bartenders and waitresses and waiters.
Oh my gosh, that was so hilarious. That's so funny that you know that. He was such a character on our set. You know, he was only there a few days,
Yeah.
but when he was there, his presence was felt. I mean, he was, he is curmudgeonly, but like you're saying, in such a lovable way.
Yes.
And people love to sit there and talk with him, and he was so generous with his time. I loved having him on our set.
Yeah, he is a doll. I just adore Emmett. But to see all that originally and then to get the film and watch it from the start, Adam, you tap into something that is so relevant today with themes: human interaction, business, the small business person, the how women, people of color, are overlooked, the quote unquote sense of entitlement that some youngsters, such as the character of Ethan, get when they get quick fame and money. You got it all wrapped in here, but you have it all wrapped in effortlessly in this script. You've done an amazing job. You don't waste exposition, and you really carry through the visuals that really show us without unnecessary verbiage. Just really constructed so well from a storytelling standpoint.
Well, I mean, it means so much to me that it resonates with you. I mean, you are our target audience. You know, the idea is that we want people that know these actors, that know these kinds of stories, that appreciate them, and the fact that it's resonated with you in this way, like I say, is significant for me. Thank you.
And of course, the fact that you lured Leslie Uggams in, that speaks volumes right there.
Well, that was amazing. I mean, I give credit to our casting team, Mary Vernew, to get Leslie in front of me, and Leslie, fortunately, she invited me to her apartment for that initial meeting, and I went and sat down with her, and we just, it was palpable. We immediately, instinctively connected. And I stayed there for a while. That first day, I was a couple hours at her place. We really just talked in general about life. We didn't even really too much talk about the movie, except to the one point when I told her, I said, I think this movie is about, what I said was that it's never too late. And she said, well, I think that the theme of your movie is that everything happens in its time. And to me, that was a really significant alteration, the difference between there being a late and an early, and it just everything happening when it's supposed to happen. And she sort of made that point for me on that very first meeting, and it stuck with me.
So is that why the timing was right for this to be your very first feature directorial?
You know what? A nice transition. I think so. I think so. I mean, funny, this notion that everything happens in its time has really stayed with me from that first meeting till now. And in terms of what you're talking about with the making of this movie, now as the world has changed so much, and look, we shot this movie in 2020, and it got shut down because of COVID, and then we had to pick it up again in 2021, and then we had to pick up the end of it in 2021, and then we posted 2022, and now it's coming in. It's funny, like, as all that was going on, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's taking too long, this movie has to come out. And now I feel like, actually, no, this is the moment for it to come out. This moment right now is the right moment. The way the world is changed, the way we're open to talking about these issues, cancel culture, all the things you just brought up. I feel like it really kind of, this is the moment. I'm actually happy about how it all happened, honestly.
As I said, the script, it's very tight. And your production values, I have to say, I was so thrilled to see that you went with Jay as your cinematographer. I'm a huge fan of his work, going back to extracurricular activities. And what he does for you here, the visual tonal bandwidth is light and bright and upbeat, but so are the visuals that accompany that tone that they set. Using windows, especially in Farhad's office, you've got the big windows to the world. At that point in the third act of the film, everything is wide open. All the cards are on the table. All the facades are coming down. Just so beautifully incorporated. I love that the two of you stick pretty much with 2 shots, but you vary that up a little when you're in Dottie's apartment or in poor Ethan's soon-to-be empty office that is quite claustrophobic, which is very metaphoric. And then shooting inside the car, just absolutely so well done, spot on with the Dutching and the angles that you managed to pick up. So I love what the two of you have come up with your visual grammar here.
Thank you. I mean, I'm so glad that you picked up on all that. I mean, I think that, Jay is wonderful. He's a great cinematographer. He's really great to work with. I'm working with him again on my new movie, and we really have a really good thing, and I'm so happy that you saw all that.
What were your considerations because here you are, writer, director, and you're one of the 2 main leads in the film. Let's not put too much on your shoulders at one time here, Adam. But what were your discussions with Jay like, and how instrumental was he for you when you were actually on camera? Because you're not behind the camera, giving him any insight or touching his shoulder to move the camera or do something. So I'm curious what that dynamic was like, that collaboration.
Yeah, I mean, look, so much of this work is done in prep, and I think when you're acting and directing at the same time, it almost all has to be done in prep, so that in the moment you can really just be present. And so, Jay and I had extensively shot listed. We'd extensively talked through what we were trying to accomplish visually, with the story. And, the same thing was true, in my conversations with my producing team, April Speaks and Mac Hendrickson, who were there at the monitor. They knew kind of what I was going for with these scenes, so that when I'm there and I'm in the moment, when I'm acting, I can just be present with the actors and just be there. And then after we would run a series of, takes, I did a lot of it in series, instead of cutting each time. I would say, let's just run it back to 1 and we'd start again. And, I would run through a series, and then I would sort of just scream out, do you think we have it? And then I would go back, and you can feel it too when you're, as an actor. And I felt like, let me see take 5 or whatever. And then, I'd ask them, what take did you respond to? And then I would generally watch, like, maybe play back just 1 take, but then I'd have to move on because I didn't have the luxury of watching every take until, dailies, which would be later. But again, because we were all on the same page with tone, we'd all talked through, comparable films that we wanted this to feel like, I think we were really aligned as a creative team. So we knew collectively, if we felt like we were off track. And that really helped me because, like you said, I'm in the scene.
Yeah, it's a little hard to wear all the hats at one time and split yourself into producing, writing, directing, acting. You've got to be able to focus on one thing at a time.
That's right. That's exactly it.
Otherwise, somebody's going to get the short shrift.
I mean, I think that's the key. You just said it.
How well did actor Adam take direction from director Adam?
You know, actor Adam took direction pretty well because actor Adam was aligned with director Adam in that, you know, the two of us also met extensively with writer Adam to write this script, right? So, you know, when I was writing it, I was obviously writing things that were things that I, as a human being, wanted to explore, and that, you know, I worked with a coach, an acting coach, you know, months before we shot the movie to talk through these scenes and to think about, you know, things that normally you would talk about with your director, but I wanted to have another person to bounce this stuff off of. So we would go through and we would break down the scenes and we would explore them with improv, and I would do all these things that you would normally work with a director, so that by the time I was there on the day, like I say, I could really just be present, and it was really just about like reacting to what was happening in the moment, whether it was from the other actors or whether it was a location change or whether it was, I just got to be really there. And it was less about like, let me follow what I had prescribed for myself, and more about let me just live because I know that I know this story, and let me just be present. And I think it actually made me a better actor.
I just think that you are just fantastic. You leap off the screen, your energy, your exuberance, and the tough motherly love that Ethan gets from Dottie and grounds him. I love that. But we really feel it. Watching you could feel the almost shame of, Mom, I disappointed you. And that was a really interesting moment in the film. And the tides really turned and shifted. The authenticity that you brought as an actor, as Ethan, just absolutely amazing, Adam. But I have to say, you know, with you prefacing, all of you were the same mindset. Everybody had the same vision and was on the same page. That explains, I think, why your editing. I personally would have liked the film to go on longer.
Oh.
But your editor, Peter, he did a great job for Michael Damian a number of years ago on Michael's dance film, High Strung. But he's so used to the rapid fire of television cutting. This is cut. It's crisp. It's clean. It's fast-paced. It's sharp. But I think because everybody was on the same page and had the same tonal mindset, I think it kept Peter from having to like look around to find tone in the edit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. And look, somebody told me years back, I can't remember who said it, but that basically the director's main job, you know, if you had to boil it down to one thing, you're the keeper of the tone. You know, you have to just keep the tone consistent. You have to be telling the same movie from the first frame to the last frame. And I think, you know, that was something that, you know, obviously Peter had watched the comps, but more than watching comps, Peter and I had talked a lot. Peter and I talked a lot before we started shooting. Peter and I talked a lot about, you know, he had some interesting ideas about, you know, he actually had reviewed my initial shot list, and he was, you know, asking for more setups, you know, more different. He's like, you don't want to get, this was Peter's take, was like, you don't want to get a ton of takes of each setup when you're on a limited, tight budget like this. You want to get as many setups as you can to give me options in the edit. And so I did adjust how many setups I was going for based on input from Peter. And, you know, so then I would just get one or two takes of this setup, and I would turn the camera around, or I would set it up a little bit differently, you know, so that we could really have options in the edit. But again, it was sort of a consistent, you know, we like I say, I feel proud of the movie because I feel like it is what we set out to do. It is the expression that we set out to create. And so, you know, Peter was obviously a big part of that.
Well, another big part of it, you carry through, and this was a surprise to me, Catherine Bostick as your composer, because I know her work from Clemency, Rita Moreno's documentary, not the first composer I would think of for DOTTY Soul, but I have to say, the score, here again, it's upbeat, and then she brings in this great, and part of it's through instrumentation as well. There's whimsy. that really embraces Ethan's childlike behavior.
Yeah.
The kid in the candy store.
Catherine is a genius. I mean, I don't say that lightly. She is a musical master. She is so skilled. And to your point, I mean, I think this is a little bit of a diversion from what she normally has done, but she really resonated with this story and with the character of Dottie. And Catherine was the first African-American woman to be admitted to the Academy as a composer. She really cares about these issues of social justice. And she and I just really understood each other in this, it's hard to explain, this really profound way. And we connected and we talked music, and she would send me themes and we would rework it. And I would just say to her, almost like you're talking about, almost in those terms, I would just be like, I want it to feel a little more whimsical here, or I want it to feel a little lighter here. And then she would just it would almost invariably be the next thing she would send me, I'd be like, yeah, that's it. You know what I mean? She just got it. There wasn't that much that I had to actually say, because she sort of felt it in her bones. And I think the work what's your contribution to this film is impossible to overstate.
Well, and something else that between your score and your cinematography, something that's very important is because you have such the great comedic talents in here of Koechner, and you got Gary Owen. Koechner is just so over the top. I just was laughing my ass off watching him.
Yeah, it's a hard part to play, by the way, because you are kind of you're such sort of that 80s 90s villain, right?
Yep.
That you're kind of a jerk, you know what I mean? But you don't want him to be a mustache twirling jerk. But then if he is going to be mustache twirling, you still want to be laughing at him and not just hating him.
Yes.
And Koechner finds a way. I mean, he does it in a lot of his work. He does it in Todd Packer. He does it in a lot of his stuff, where he's able to tap into whatever that antagonist is in a way that we still love watching him.
And this is the beauty of what Jay did and what Catherine does, is because you don't step on the performances. You have so many great performances here from Leslie, from yourself, from David, from Gary, even the little ones, like with Emmet, and also Bobby Nadiri, who is wonderful.
Yes.
But you let nothing steps on the performances. And when we're talking comedy, that's always a difficult line to walk.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing about it is, and you obviously are incredibly knowledgeable about all these components of filmmaking, which is incredible. I think that the comedy, it has to be treated lightly. Everything has to be treated lightly. Even I tried to create a very light environment on set. I would even, just in little specific, I'll say this because I know you're interested in these kind of details, but I wouldn't say the word action. That was just a little thing. I would just say, whenever you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
So what, camera was set, and Jay would say he was set, and then I would just say, whenever you're ready. And so whenever the actor would come in, he would just, or she would just start.
Yeah.
And that sort of lightness, I think, was contagious, and it really helped to create an atmosphere where people like Koechner, people like Gary Owen could come in there and just let it rip. Just feel that they were safe and that they were in a safe environment to just have fun. And I think there's so many parts. I mean, Gary and David both invented so many things on the spot that I used in the movie. And just the fact that they felt willing to do that, I think it just serves the film.
Were you easy with letting everybody improv if need be?
Yeah, I mean, I try to put people in the lane where they feel the most comfortable. So somebody like Gary or somebody like Koechner, this is their wheelhouse. David was on SNL, Gary is this master stand-up comedian. I would really give them in particular latitude. I'd be I would whisper in Gary's ear before we shoot, Gary, I know you have 2 lines in this scene, but if you want to say anything else when the camera's on you, feel free.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were getting his coverage, it wouldn't interrupt other people because it wasn't on them. But when it was on his coverage, I would give him opportunities to just let it rip. And then sometimes I would tell him to dial it back. But I really, so those guys in particular. Then there's other people like, Leslie, who is this sort of extraordinary Tony and Emmy award-winning actress who, we would really stay more within what the script was because she and I had talked so much about the script.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, but I kind of tried to tailor it to who the people were and where they felt most comfortable and what their strengths were.
Well, I think you definitely hit on everybody's strengths. Having seen your cast in so many different things over the decades, I really think you knocked it out of the park, Adam.
I so appreciate this. I really, really do.
But I'm really curious. Now that you have written and directed, starred in DOTTY Soul, you tapped on all of these themes that you really don't realize all the themes that are in there until you think about it afterwards and go, wow, this really is very timely and topical. And that's the hallmark of a good writer, because you're not shoving it down anybody's throats.
That's, Elia Kazan talked about the refrigerator moments, where you don't think about it when you're watching it, and later that night you're at the refrigerator and you go, oh, wait a second.
Yep.
So that's what you're talking about.
That's exactly it. But now that you have accomplished this with DOTTY Soul, what did you learn about yourself as a storyteller, as a filmmaker, that you can now take forward into your future projects, including the new one that you're working on?
I think it's a great question, and I think the thing that I'm sort of feeling, just right now, and there's been different lessons that I've thought about through the time since we finished, and obviously now the movie gets ready to come out, but I think that the main thing that I'm taking now is sort of just trust that I'm enough. Trust that all of us are enough, and that just simply the expression of ourselves, the expression of whatever story it is that we want to tell, whatever it is that we want to talk about, that's enough. And that's what makes us unique, and that's what makes us interesting. And there's no need to what Ethan does, which is put on the purple jacket and put on the this and put on the that and the da-da-da-da-da-da, because that's actually less interesting. What's interesting is the truth of what's inside us. And for me as an artist, like that, that leads into the new one. It's just like, what am I thinking about? What is on my mind? And so then just, hey, I don't know, maybe people will like this, maybe people won't. And that's why it's so rewarding for me when somebody like you really seems to respond to it in such a profound way. But really it's about putting it out there in an honest and authentic way and hoping that maybe it connects with somebody.
Well, you definitely connected with me on this one, Adam. Just job so well done. This truly is, DOTTY Soul is just filled with heart and soul. And I can't wait to see what you bring us next.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. And I so appreciate everything that you've said.
And I hope we get to do this again in the future.
Yes, me too.
Thanks so much, Adam.
All right.